Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be with you and the mercy and blessings of God. Welcome to A-Level Maths live lesson. Today we're looking at adding algebraic fractions. This one carries on from the last couple of lessons, so I just need to make sure I give you a chance to show that you know what you're doing when it comes to algebraic fractions. So if I can give you a pair to add. So if you want to add these two, and then I'll give you a pair to subtract. So if you've been keeping up with the lessons, then hopefully this is easy for you, but just try it out. Sometimes watching it is easy and doing it yourself is not so easy. So that's why you got to do lots of practice and work through lots of questions if you want a great grade in maths, inshallah. Okay, have a try of these two and I'll give you 1 minute. Just a few more seconds left. Well done to Aisha on the first one. Okay, looks like you just maybe finishing off the second one. Let's just go through those. The first one, you can use the method that we just did recently, but it's better to use the method we did originally. So we're looking at making the denominators the same by multiplying the fraction by something. So first think 5y, 10y. Let's try and make them both 10y. So we can do that by timesing this one by 2. Which means we times the top by 2 as well. And then you get the new fraction of 2 over 10y, which means that's an easier fraction to work with. So we can get rid of the original one and then move that in its place. And now the denominator is the same. So I can just go ahead and add on the top, as Aisha wrote, it's 5. And on the bottom it's 10y. Here you can simplify a little bit. So the 5 and the 10, they can both be divided by 5. So we can cancel by 5. So that 5 divided by 5 becomes 1. 10 divided by the same 5 becomes 2. So that becomes 1 over 2y. If you didn't do that last bit, don't worry, that's the new thing that I just want you to try and bring in today and next and tomorrow's lesson, inshallah. This one, we're going to use the cross and the smile. Let me just take your attention onto this one. So we're going to use the cross and the smile to tell us what to multiply. And we're going to squeeze in some brackets into the denominator. So the first part of the cross, 3 times the x minus 1. And then I've got a minus in between the fractions. And then the second part of the cross is 1 times x minus 2. And then the smile tells us to multiply the two denominators. So x minus 2, x minus 1. And then you can simplify the top. You've got 3 times the x, 3x, 3 times the minus 1, that's minus 3. Be careful when you're expanding the second bit. There's a minus here which has to be applied. So in the end, you should get 3 times the x is 3x. 3 times the minus 1 is minus 3. We've got minus 1 times x, that's minus x. Minus 1x if you like. Minus 1 times the minus 2. Minus 1 times the minus 2, that's going to be plus 2. So we can remove the bracket version for the one without the brackets. And then notice that if I just swap this around a little bit, the minus 3 can be joined with the plus 2. The minus x is better sitting next to the 3x. So I've got 3x minus x, that's 2x. And I've got plus 2 minus 3, that's minus 1. So on the top, it's just 2x minus 1, which hopefully you've got. Okay, good. So today we're just going to move on to where the fraction has a denominator which is slightly more complicated. The first one might be simple. We might just have, say, 2y. But let's say the next one has got, let's say, 5y squared. Now you can use the cross and the smile. It will work, but you'll end up with quite a lot of y's in your answer which need to be simplified. So here it's better just to use that first method and think, what can I do? What can I multiply by to try and get the new denominator, the bit at the bottom, the same? So I've got a y, but I need a y squared. So if I multiply by y to begin with, top and the bottom, then I would have 4y at the top, and 2y would become 2y squared because I'm multiplying by y. That's great, and I still haven't quite got the denominators to match. So in this case now, I'm thinking the y squared matches, but the 2 and the 5 don't, so I'm going to need to take it up to maybe 10. 10 is a multiple of 2 and 5. So if I can multiply this fraction by 5 and this fraction by 2, that should make the denominators match by making them both 10y squared. So let's see how that goes. I'm timesing by 5, so on the top of my new fraction, I'll have 20y. On the bottom, I'll have 2 times 5 is 10, 10y squared. So that's my first fraction changed. And now when I change my second fraction, I'm timesing by 2, so 3 times the 2 at the top makes 6. And then on the bottom, that's going to be 10y squared. That's 5 times 2 is 10, and then the y squared. And now we're good to do what we normally do. If we have the denominator the same, then I can keep the denominator as 10y squared. And on the top, I just need to add what I see. I've got 20y added to 6, so I can just write that as 20y, add 6. Let's get this line a bit longer. And on the bottom, I've got 10y squared, so I can just copy that. And now you just want to see if you can simplify like we did right at the beginning. So here 20y add 6 over 10y squared. Try to spot, is there anything that I can divide through by? Try to spot if they're all even numbers. That's normally a good one to spot. So you see 20, the 6, the 10, they're all even numbers. So that means I can divide every one of them by 2. So then you'll have, instead of 20y, we can make that 10y. Instead of plus 6, I can make that 3. I'm just halving everything, dividing by 2. And then on the bottom, the 10y squared, I can half that. That make 5y squared. And then if I just neaten that up, you have your final answer of 10y plus 3 over 5y squared. Okay, one for you to try. See if you can handle this one. Let's go with 7 over 5r minus, let's go with 2 over 4r squared. Okay, I'll give you a few minutes to work through that, see what you get. Okay, feel free to type into the chat window once you're ready. A few more seconds. And let's see how we do this. And looking at the bottom, 5r, 4r squared. We're going to need an r squared, so I'm going to times by r on the top and the bottom. So that's going to get me 5r squared and 7r on the top. And then I'm thinking, okay, I've got 5r squared versus 4r squared. I'm thinking of my times tables. 5 and 4 goes into 20. So let's try and make that 20r squared on the bottom. And I'm going to achieve 20 by timesing this one by 4. That should get me 20r squared on the bottom. I'll have to times this one by 5 to get the same 20r squared on the bottom of this one. So let's do that. Let's see what happens. Let's get two new fractions. So on the top, I've got 7r times the 4, that's 28r. On the bottom, I've got 5r squared times 4, that's 20r squared. On the top of the second one, 2 times 5, that's easy enough, that's just 10. On the bottom, 4r squared times 5, that's 20r squared, which is exactly what I wanted. So now the denominators are the same. I can go ahead and subtract the top. So it's 28r subtract 10, which I can just write as 28r subtract 10. And on the bottom, I've got 20r squared as my denominator. And then I'm just looking to see if I can spot anything I can simplify by. They're all even numbers at the beginning, so I can divide by 2, so that will become 14r. And it'll be minus not 10, but half that, just like I did with the 28r, that's 5. The 20r squared, let's make that 10r squared. And then that's hopefully nicer to look at, easier to read and work with. So let's get rid of what I had before. And the final answer is 14r take away 5 over 10r squared. Hopefully you had that or got close. Okay, looking good. Well done, Aisha. Okay, see you for the next lesson, and we'll do a bit more on the algebraic fractions. Take care until then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be with you.